Hello, today I'm talking about parents under purposeful Christian friendships. I hope this episode blesses you. There are so many things to learn about the relationship a child is to have with his or her parents, and this to enlighten parents and children of how important that relationship is. Continue watching, and I hope you actually learn a lot. Parents are the first friends a child is to have after being born. The parents, and particularly the mother, is usually the first person the child becomes a friend to. And so, in that process, the mother becomes the first friend of the child. So, there's a special connection from birth between parents and children. And that connection is never to end. Children should be able to be, be good friends to their parents. We are able to see or look at the Bible that God actually wants a good relationship between children and parents, because it's very important for a child to have a bright start, a good beginning. The parent must be involved. The parents must be involved. They have a crucial role to make that child's life beautiful. Daily life actually has a lot of impact on the child, and when that friendship starts the way it ought to have started, that child becomes great. God gives children to parents for parents to be stewards. The parents are just the biological parents. God's actually the father of that child. So parents have a lot of things to do in the upbringing of a child. But parents and children in our generation are not really having the best relationships. Not all of them. There are some that are exceptional, while a lot of them are not the way it ought to be. Because that connection has been severed, it has been spoiled due to actions by both parties. There are several reasons why a relationship like the one a child should have with his parents can be destroyed. And this was not the plan of God. God wanted parents to be role models to their children, to be friends to their children. Parents are not to abandon their children. They are not to forsake fellowship with their children. Parents have to make time to be with their children because they have to be their friends. They are the first friends a child has. The child has this role toward being a friend of his parent or a parent. But parents normally have the primary role because they are the ones who bring up the child. Business should not be an excuse why you should not be close to your child, because that child can distance himself or herself from you as they grow. Children want friendships, and parents can give that friendship. So you should know that if you're not close to your child, you should actually work on that relationship. There's a connection that comes after a child is born, especially with the mother. The child is weaned by the mother for a long time before the child is able to stay on his own or her own. During that period, there's a bonding that happens, and that bonding can be destroyed when the right things are not done, when there's no effort toward being close to the child, and that child can fall astray. So that's why it's important that you are the one who helps the child to grow into the kind of person he or she ought to be. The most important friend the child can have is God, but a parent is also to be a friend of the child. Looking at God putting emphasis on the relationship between the parent and the child in Exodus 20:12, God has said, honor your father and your mother, that's to a child, and your day shall be long on earth. God made it that covenant, that commandment was with a promise. That shows you how important it is to God that a child and a parent should have fellowship together, should be together, should be connected to each other. Parents are not to be dictators or enemies of their children, but to be friends of their children. When you are close to your child, when you open up and discuss important issues with your child feels important and would yield to being your friend as well, because the child can't just be making the effort and the parent is not making any effort. The parent also has to make an effort toward becoming the friend of the child. As parents, you should be intentional about your relationship with your children. Going to Ephesians 6:4, God says, or rather Paul writes, he says, and you, Father, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord. You should not be a person who would not be loved by your children. You should not be a person who will be feared instead of cherished, instead of longed for by your children. Fear doesn't do any good thing. It only makes the child weaker. But when you allow that child to be confident around you, the child will be confident outside. You need to allow your children to express themselves to you. Don't be a person who don't be scared to talk to. Because when they are scared to talk to you, they can talk to other people outside. They will give them the wrong ideas about life, which can hinder their progress. Do not be the person who feels you can take control of your children and in that process provoking them to wrath, and then your relationship with them is severed in that process. You can see from Ephesians, you should not provoke your children. As much as you should be friends to your children, the Bible does not also prevent you from disciplining your children, but it should be with love. Don't discipline them because of frustration or anger. Discipline them because you want them to be better. Discipline them because you know the importance it will have in their life. He says, train up a child in the way it should go, and when it is grown, it will not depart from it. You have a role in that. A child can actually be great because of his parents. Parents have to spend time. You can't become a friend of your child without having to spend time with that child. I know the work can be busy today, but you have to create time. You have to be intentional about spending time with your children, and not time that way they'll be scared of you, a time that will be so domineering and trying to take control of their lives, but allowing them to also express themselves and tell you how they feel about certain things. And then if they are going the wrong way, you advise them accordingly, the way they should actually think. Let them understand your perspective. Don't force it on them, because if you force it on them, they may act like they are yielding, but when they are away from you, they'll go back to their normal way of life. So let them understand the reason why some things ought to be in a particular way. You have a role. If you can't have time with your children, better not have them. In the place where it says, Father, do not provoke your child, it's talking about father and mother. Don't be a dictator to your family, but be a friend to your children. Discipline is very important for every child. Every child needs to be disciplined, but let it be done with love. That's just the major thing. It should be done from a place of helping the child to be better, because without discipline, the child can go and be wayward. But when you discipline the child becomes a better person. But let that discipline come from a place of love. When you're kind to your children, when you communicate to your children well, when you become a friend of your children, they'll open up to you. They'll let you know the issues. But when they are scared of you, they may not let you know the issues they're going through, and they can be suffering in silence. Cases of abuse, cases of failure, cases of bullying. If you do not allow your child to be able to open up to you, that child can be suffering in silence, and you don't want that. That's why you have to be a friend of that child. You are supposed to be one of the best friends the child has. While I was growing up, I had a poor relationship with my parents. I did not honor my parents in my teenagers the way I ought to have honored them. And I lost a lot of benefits in that process. A lot of things I ordinarily ought to have gotten was not given to me. That's to show that because of my own actions, the relationship was not good enough. I thank God eventually it became better through the help of God. When I turned from what I used to be, when I became a person who was willing to do the will of God, that showed that it's not only left to parents to have a good relationship with their children. As a child, an adult, you have a parent, you have a role in that relationship. You have a role that can make the relationship better. You also have to open your arms to allow them to be your friends, because there are a lot of benefits to it. Great benefits. And I hope you won't miss the benefits. So parents are important friends to have. Very important. Parents, you have a role. Children, you have a role. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. Bye.